before I even moved to LA or anything to make it a reality. You know what I mean? So I think that was probably the most impactful, just because of how many people it was and how many people had their hands in the air and how controlled he had the crowd. I've never seen that in my life. So I was just like, oh, that's $100,000 show. That's what it looked like. I bet. I'm trying to I'm get there.
Get there.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you mentioned free Wi-Fi a few times and like Plaza. Like, what's like your relationship with all them? So.
I'm cool with Plaza. We linked up like quite a few times. We had quite a few conversations, quite a few arguments, you know, over the years. But ultimately, like, we've definitely worked past our issues, and he's grown as an artist, and I feel like he's learned from the experience just as much as I have. And I feel like at the time that we went through that beef, we were still kind of learning, and it was just a bunch of miscommunication that probably really could have got resolved before it got to that. But at the time, you know, how are you supposed to communicate that when you're part of the issue? You know, so Plaza's cool. I just texted him the other day because I told him I was coming up here, but I think he's actually in LA, so it's like we traded places for a little bit. So I think he's out there. I'm not really sure if he is or isn't, but from what it looked like he might have been out there. And then De Niro, I mean, I've been trying with this man, but I don't know, man. I feel like he's angry with me, but I feel like he might be more angry with himself, and he probably doesn't understand that's what he's feeling, and it's getting projected onto me. Because when we had a conversation about it, he couldn't really tell me why he was angry with me, and I gave him multiple opportunities to try to express that, and our conversation got to a cordial point, but I can still tell that he still was feeling some type of way. So I was like, I just left it alone at that point, and then I've never talked to him since. And then I think I checked into with him recently with a text now that I'm remembering, and I think I just was congratulating him on something small, and then I think he had liked the message or said thank you, bro, or something. And that was where it was left off at. So from that point, in my eyes, it seems like everything's chill, but I wouldn't call it like I could just call him and he'd pick up, or we could just go out to eat or pull a show together, because I feel like that's what me and Plaza was low-key trying to do. Was we was trying to pull a show together, maybe just like a one little what if that would have been funny, like one little last wahoo real quick, just come together real quick, do a quick project, do a quick show, turn up, and but we still independent, we still learned, we still grew from that point forward. But I felt like that would be something owed to the city, just because of how all of that played out, you know what I mean? And that would be a solid conclusion for people, so they can grow past it without feeling inconclusive. But ultimately, that would be up to not only my decision to make, you know what I mean? So I feel like this is like that movie, Straight Outta Compton. Like you know the scene. What is it? Not Dre. Ice Cube, when he was going to do it, and then Dre was trying to mediate the situation back and forth between him and I forgot who he fell out with. Was it Easy he fell out with in the movie? I think it was. So I felt like it was kind of getting like that on the Clubhouse when they had us talking about it, because like I could tell, like, me and Plaza was cool. I could tell in his mind he was probably thinking like, alright, if De Niro go through with it, then I'm gonna just probably turn up with my niggas real quick, you know. But so I think he was just trying to vibe him out, you know what I mean? And I don't know, this is just my personal speculation. So, and then I'm trying to vibe him out, but I just feel like that's just the reality of the situation is, you know, I still feel like he is processing everything, and obviously he just had a child, De Niro, so I'm sure he's wrapped up with all of that, and it seems like he's still dropping music and shit. His album did pretty well that he dropped recently, so he seemed like he still got shit going on. But I feel like realistically that situation affected all of us very personally, because
when you say that situation, what kind of,
when we all fell out and got dropped from the label,
what made like you guys, like what was like the falling out, like what made you guys get dropped or like fall out as like a group and just kind of, you know, just having some animosity, like what was the reasoning behind that?
And not to try to re-spark any negative energy, I won't go into too much detail,
exactly,
just because like people gonna watch this, bro, and they gonna be mad if I'm talking too much about certain shit. But
so you can keep it broad.
I felt, and in my personal experience, I felt like it was some weird shit going on with our one of our management teams, and ultimately things just kept getting weirder from there. And I think it just was miscommunication, and then a lot of us being naive and afraid to make choices for ourselves because we were listening to a lot of people in our ear around us, because we didn't start off as homies. We didn't know each other until we made that record. And the label was like, well, y'all want to be a group? And we're like, all right, let's just try to do it one time for the city. So as we were getting to learn to know each other, we opened up, we got close, and then people started feeling like they was lying and getting stabbed in the back, and certain things were getting said that was not true, and it just kept getting uglier and uglier, and ultimately it led to a diss record and then us getting dropped. But I think we got dropped before the diss record actually happened, now that I think about it. But that was my take on that. I felt like there was a way that we could have avoided that, and I was trying to mediate the situation. And in my perspective, I feel like my guys were looking at me as if I was making the situation worse because I was tampering with it instead of leaving it be. But I was trying to mediate and help the situation, because how do you expect to grow unless we talk through things to figure out what's going on? Otherwise, things are just going to keep being chipped on shoulders, and then your audience is going to start to sense that if it's not harmony within yourselves, So I just was trying to keep it a buck and keep everything transparent with everybody, not realizing that some information you might not need to share with certain people, and some information you don't need to repeat, and some information is probably better kept, and it can be detrimental, especially if you're trying to help the situation and you accidentally might say too much about something, and then now it's just spiraling out of your control. So there was just a bunch of shit that kind of boiling frog effect, if you want to say, that kind of led up to that, to us kind of just the label ultimately saying, okay, we're not going to give you guys any more time to figure this out. Bye. Because they gave us time to work out through our issues, and it just wasn't working, man.
I feel that.
Our egos were in the way, and people didn't want to set a pride aside, and we just was like, no, I'm right, no, listen, because this is the point I'm trying to make. And it's just nobody wanted to listen. Everybody wanted to lead, So
I feel that.
Lesson learned.
Hell yeah. Cause I when I first kind of got into like the music scene out here in Minneapolis, for sure, like, cause I originally am from Mankato, Minnesota, and then I moved out here. I've been in Minneapolis for like 3.5 years now, and that's kind of like, and then that's kind of like, but I was into like the music stuff before then, but I didn't really dive into the Minneapolis scene. But like at that point, free Wi-Fi was kind of like a thing that had already broken up.
Yeah.
So I didn't know exactly.
So you
like
caught the tail end of it.
Yes, so like that was kind of like just a little bit of a learning curve for me right there too.
No, you're good.
That's probably good for
I
some
guess
people
the pre-story to that was like I was already dropping shit early 2016, making noise, and then Plaza was too, and so was De Niro. So Angelo brought us together all on one record. It was like, oh, y'all should just work together. I think it'd make some noise. And then sure enough, it just went happen to go viral on Facebook, and that was it. And
then that's how you got the label deal, was as a group.
Yeah. So it went viral on Facebook first. Then it started picking up traction on YouTube, and then at the time I had used like my last $500 to put into the music video, and then Angelo flew me out to LA the first time, like 2016. So I was living in the studio, eating off the EBT card, sandwiches in the fridge, showering at the gym up the street, right off Hollywood Boulevard and Ivar, right there by the Juicy Queens and shit, just living out the studio. So not knowing that everybody I'm recording and mixing is like A&Rs and shit from certain labels, and not knowing I'm just trying to make my money and survive and try to figure out how to play. You know what I mean? So then somehow Alan Kingdom shared the song on Twitter. So now it's going viral on Facebook. Alan Kingdom had shared it. Alan Kingdom at the time was already popping because of the whole Kanye shit. It was still kind of spicy. You know what I mean? So now I'm lit on Twitter and Facebook, and it was going on YouTube. So then he invited me to the show. He said, "You want to work, or you want to." He said, "Hey man," he said, "Hey boy, you turning up to Paul, and you want to work? Yeah, you want to open up for my birthday?" I said, okay, yeah, sure. I'll come up there, and I flew up there, did the show, and I brought out Plaza and De Niro, because at the time we weren't a group yet. It was just us three, you know what I mean? And initially it was just my record, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And So we get there, we do the show, the recap was lit. So by the time I'm there, dude come to the studio like, yo, where the engineer at? Dude was like, oh, he had a show. He's like, wait, he an artist? Showed him my music. He took it back to Atlantic Records because apparently he's like an intern A&R at Atlantic. So he took it to one of the other A&Rs at Atlantic, and they were like considering me in Plaza. And I think they just couldn't figure out what they wanted to do. So they ultimately turned all of us down. And then I guess they shopped it over to Rostrum. Meanwhile, our management at the time already knew the person at Rostrum.
Mm-hmm.
So then now Rostrum's getting our information from Atlantic, and then the other person that just knew the same person from Rostrum so happened to get the recap the same week that Atlantic sent them the music video. So they see the traffic and response online, and then they see how people respond live, and that's what sold them. We didn't even have a million hits by then. It was just they saw the reaction, public reaction, and what was doing currently online. They were like, all right, get them down here. And they took everything down online, made us a group, rebranded